Chapter 3, Section 3, Sedimentary Rocks. How sedimentary rocks are formed is by weathering, erosion, and deposition. Erosion is the weathering and the removal of rock. So it's picking up pieces and moving them to a different location. And deposition is when you have an agent of erosion, such as water, wind, ice, or gravity, that drops those sediment out, so they are being deposited into a new location. Compaction and cementation is an important factor for sedimentation or to get sedimentary rocks. Compaction is when you are squeezing or compacting sediments in together. And then cementation is what happens when you have those pieces have been compacted, but there are still air spaces between them. So cementation is kind of like the glue that goes in between and holds everything together. So it fills in those spaces. Conglomerate is a great example of a sedimentary rock that has undergone cementation and compaction. But how we classify sedimentary rocks is in two main groups. We split it up into clastic sedimentary rocks, which means it's weathered bits of rocks and minerals that are pushed together. And they are classified by their particle size. And they have some examples of shale, which is the most abundant, sandstone, conglomerate, that's another example. So it ranges in particle size from particles that you can't see to particles you can see a little bit to particles you can see a lot. So for example, in shale, because those are so nicely compacted and cemented, shale is the best for us to get fossils out of. So sedimentary rocks are where we find our fossils. The second way that we classify sedimentary rocks is by chemical sedimentation. So that means you've had to have dissolved some substances by precipitating or separating it from water. Some examples: limestone, that's the most abundant. Those that have very microcrystalline interior, so chert, flint, jasper, agate, all of those are types of quartz. And then we have evaporites, and those are such as rock salt, gypsum, and then we also have coal. And those are just a few examples of chemical sedimentary rocks. A limestone can also be fossiliferous. So you can see here we have several examples of fossils that have been discovered through limestone rock. And then again we have this chart, and this is in your earth science book, that shows you how we classify these. So if you look at the left-hand side, we have our clastic sedimentary rocks. And we're looking at, again, texture or grain size. So we have the coarse. Those are your large size. So we have conglomerate or breccia. Medium, so think about being made of sand, so sandstone. And then we have things that are very fine, or even more fine than that. It's going to be kind of a consistency of mud, so shale or siltstone. Then, of course, the chemical, it's all based on what they're made of. So some will be made of calcite, some of quartz, some of gypsum, some of halite, and then we have some that are actually altered fragments from other pieces. So travertine, I don't know if you've ever heard of travertine tile. That's something that a lot of the wealthy really like to have in their home. It's a very nice tile. That's made of calcite. That is a chemical sedimentary rock. Limestone is part of calcite. Chalk. Okay, a lot of you probably don't think of chalk as a rock, but chalk is actually part of a rock, yes. Quartz, again, chert and flint, we talked about those. Gypsum leads to rock gypsum. And then rock salt, that comes from halite. That's similar to our table salt that we eat. So some features that sedimentary rocks will have is they give us clues as to how they were formed, but not just how they were formed, where they were actually formed. So it gives us some insight as to where they came from. So for today, I want you to read Chapter 3, Section 3 in the Earth Book, do the Sedimentary Rock assignment, and if we have time, the Sedimentary Rock lab. And that's it for today.